Hello, everyone. Hope I'm audible and the screen visible. Could you all give me a confirmation, please? Thank you for the confirmation. So welcome back, everybody, to another session on data analytics using Microsoft Excel. We are into day 8. Okay, this is the 8th day of our training, and we have covered quite a lot of things so far. If any of you is attending this session for the first time, has not gone through the previous videos, I would request you and recommend that you go through them so you can keep up with the flow. All the videos are there on YouTube, so please do subscribe to the channel for many more such trainings which are lined up so that you can get the notifications. And right, without much delay, let's dive into the topics for today. So before that, a quick recap of what we had done yesterday. We looked at index and match, how they are used to look up for a certain value in a table or in a range of values. We also understood about the two-way lookup. We looked at some basic functions which can be used for formatting the text. And then we looked at how to format the data in a table. Okay, so today we will be continuing with that concept, quick recap of formatting data in the table. Then we will look at how to create pivot tables, working with pivot tables, summarizing the data there. And if time permits, we will be looking at get pivot data. Otherwise, we will look at it tomorrow. Okay, so these 4 things we will target. Now, let's begin. So the data source has been shared with you both in the Zoom chat as well as in the YouTube chat. So you can pick the data source for today from there. And this is our data. Okay. So first thing that I will do, I think, is simply increase the font so that it's visible to all of you clearly. Then we can just highlight the columns like that from the top and double click anywhere between the 2 alphabets, between 2 columns over here. So all of them will get spaced out properly. Then see, this here area code is a numerical value. So it is better that we go ahead and assign the data type as a number. Date, it holds the date. It is basically the first day of the month kind of thing. So we can go and assign an appropriate data type as date. You might not see any visible difference over here, but later on when we are dealing with date functions or when we are working with dates specifically, if you have not already assigned a date data type, you might get into some trouble. So it's better to do this. Now area code, I'm going to reduce the decimals because this is area code, which is basically the 3-digit telephone area code in the US. So it will not have decimals. Okay, so I removed the decimals. Date, if we format it as long date, we can see the complete date. I will keep it as short date. All this is basically text information. So we can go and assign the data type as text. So these are basic data cleaning techniques that we are talking about. Okay. Because as the data analyst, of course, you would be analyzing the data, but you might even have to do such cleaning sometimes. And these columns are dealing with money, currency. So we will assign the data type as currency. And then you can also go ahead to this accounting symbol and give an appropriate currency symbol over there. Okay. And I will not use any decimals for this. We don't have decimals in this data. So let me reduce that to 0. Okay, our data is very nicely formatted over here. Now, this is one aspect. Okay, basic thing that we generally do, assign proper, correct, appropriate data types. Now, let us say there are a few blank rows in our data. I'm inserting a few blank rows in here. Okay, supposing like that, let's say there are a lot of blank rows across the data, across many places. Okay. In our data, we have blank rows. Okay. Now, this is very big data. If you notice, we have nearly 4,000 odd records. Okay. We have more than 4,000 rows. So in all of these 4,000 rows, let's say we have a lot of blank rows. All right, now how do we delete all the blank rows in one go? We shall see that. And also, let's say there is some duplicate data. I'll just copy this and insert the copied cells. I'm just duplicating the data to give you a demonstration. So let me copy the whole row. Again, I will right click on this and there's an option to insert the copied cells. Okay, so some records are there which are basically duplicates. Now, how to focus or target the blanks and get rid of them as a part of our data cleaning, and how to find out duplicates and remove the duplicates. Okay, let's focus on identifying the blanks. If there are a few rows and if there is small data that you're working with, you can go to each row, right click on it and very well delete it. But if you have big data and if there are multiple such blank rows, to search for it and then to delete it would become a tedious process. So how do we automate this? Is we can go to the find and select option on the home ribbon. Find and select up here on the home ribbon. And there is an option called as go to special. The fourth option down there. Okay, when you select it, you can click on blanks. All right. So once I click on blanks and click on OK, in the entire sheet, it will highlight all those rows which are blank. Now that they are highlighted, they are selected, I just need to go and remove them, delete them. So in the home ribbon that we are on, right, home ribbon itself, here we have one group to insert, delete or format the rows. Okay. So our purpose here is to delete. So I'll go here to delete and I'm going to select the option delete sheet rows. So all the rows which are now highlighted, the blank ones will get deleted. Okay, it is that simple. Now we need to identify or check for duplicates and remove the duplicates. So when would we call something a duplicate is if the whole row is replicated. Suppose over here, duplicate meaning if the complete data in that row as is appears in another row. The whole thing gets repeated. That is considered a duplicate. Suppose I want to avoid such things. Okay, then we have to go to the data ribbon. And we will go down here from where we create the validation list, right? We saw the flash fill option yesterday. Below the flash fill option is one icon that is for removing the duplicates. Okay, so once I click on it, I had purposely included two duplicates over here, 325 area code and 754 over here. Okay, the whole row I had duplicated. So there are two duplicates. Now and my column has headers. So you need to remember to keep this selected. My column had my list of, or my data has headers here. And when is it considered to be a duplicate? When the entire data, when the whole of the thing is replicated. The whole row means data present in the area code, date, product, product line, product type, everything is repeated. That then the whole thing. Okay, so I'll keep everything selected and click on OK. So you can see two duplicate values found and removed. It's telling us that it has removed two duplicates. You can see 325, the other one is gone, and somewhere down here, 754, right? The other one is gone. So like this, you might think that we are looking at a role of a data analyst. Why are we doing data cleaning? Is it the data engineer supposed to take care of such things? Yes, but to a large extent, sometimes even a data analyst will have to get involved in such things. So to know how even data cleaning things, it would be very good. Basic data cleaning techniques you should be familiar with as a data analyst. Okay. So this is my data and I'm happy with it. Now, what is our agenda? Formatting data. Okay. Now let's convert it into a table. All right. This is right now a range of values that we have, which are organized as columns and rows, but this is not essentially a table. Okay, this is not essentially a table. We'll convert it into a table. So how to convert it into a table is Command T, Control plus T. Now you can see the line, the margin running around the whole data. Okay, the entire data is selected. You see this whole thing. If you want, you can even manually select it, but here Tableau, Excel has automatically selected it and our table has headers. So I'll just click on OK. Table ribbon has come. Because this is a table ribbon has come. If you don't like this format, you can even go for a different format or different way of representing the data. Here you can choose from a variety of designs which are available. Then yesterday we talked about header row, total row, okay, banded rows, banded columns, all these we had discussed. Now, it is always good to give a name to the table. So I'll call this coffee chain data. Okay, coffee chain data. And how do we know? One other way in which you can identify whether this is a table or not is generally if it's a table, there will be a drop-down icon against the name of every field, which acts like a filter. All right, and we can go ahead and sort the data in ascending or descending order. We can also filter the data using this option. So let's look at that. Here is product. Okay, so if I go here, by clicking on this button, data gets sorted in increasing order, alphabetical order, increasing order. So you can see it starting with A. Okay, then C, then Cafe Mocha, so on and so forth. So it is basically in alphabetical order. Okay, that's big, really big data. Or we can do it in the reverse alphabetical order by going here. All right. Then if there are certain products that for which we might not want to see the data, we can remove it by using the filters. Simple select and deselect options. So if I uncheck this product, it's gone. If I uncheck latte, it's gone. If I uncheck mocha, it's gone. You see, something that might not be necessary can be removed simply by deselecting the option. And if you want it, you can select it and it will come back. Okay, so we can filter the data in such an easy manner. We can also go ahead and sort the data in different formats. All right. Now, we are going to learn something called as a pivot table. Or you can even pronounce it as a pivot table. Pivot or pivot, your wish, your comfort and convenience. You can go with any pronunciation. So I'll call it pivot. Now, what does a pivot table do and how is it different from this regular table that we are in? Pivot tables are very, very user-friendly and they help you present your data in a much flexible manner and you can summarize the data the way you want. That is the main advantage. It helps you create summary reports, allows you to summarize the data in specific formats of your choice depending on your requirement. And these are extensively used. Okay, so how do I create a pivot table from here? One option is on the table ribbon, we have this option here called as summarize with pivot table. So we can click on that, or we could go to the home insert ribbon. In the insert ribbon, the very first option on the top left corner, insert ribbon, the very first option is pivot table. If I click on it, also it will create a pivot table. Once I click on it, you see this window, create pivot table window. It's saying that we need to choose the data that we would like to analyze by representing it in pivot table format. So I need the complete range of data, coffee chain data that I have named in this table. If you want to select a different range, you can just click there and you can even select a different range. Okay, here I will not go ahead and disturb it because I want the complete range of data. Then where to place the pivot table? You can have it in the existing sheet itself. It will come on one side of the existing sheet, but let's not disturb it because this is really big data. So I will just go ahead and create a new worksheet. The pivot table has to be placed in a new worksheet. Okay. So what will happen is a new sheet is opened where the pivot table is kept. All right. Now let's see how to work with it. I will just move this sheet down to the side here and give it a name. Let's say pivot table 1. This is the table. Only when you click in the table, on the left side, this field list will appear. list of fields, pivot table fields. When you click in any other cell outside this range of the pivot table, the field list will disappear. Okay, then when I go back and click in the pivot table again, the field list will appear. Along with that, two other contextual ribbons will appear. Contextual ribbons, because depending on the context they are coming. Even when I'm working with table, the table ribbon comes. It is not going to be present all the time. Depending on what we are working with, they show up when necessary. So while we are in a pivot table, we have two ribbons on the top. Pivot table analyze as well as design. Okay, these are two other things which have come up. Now for our comfort and convenience, I'm first going to increase the size, font size. Let me go to home, increase it. Yeah, slightly this also. I will increase the column width also. Okay, now this looks better. Now we will begin. This is the very first pivot table that we are constructing. Okay, so let's go here. On the right side, you will be able to see the complete list of fields present in that connection, present in that coffee chain data, using which we are trying to create the pivot table. You see the complete list is available. Okay. Under that, because if the list is very big and if you're not very comfortable every time to scroll and then select a field, you can search for it here. There is a search box, field name, you can search for it. Suppose I start typing in profit. See all the fields which have PRO. Now let me put F, PROF. All the fields with the word profit in them have appeared. Then you can go and use whichever field you might want to use. Okay. If it's a really big list of fields, you can search for a field. You need not keep scrolling up and down. Then we have filters, columns. There's a box for columns. There's a box called as rows, and there's a box called as values. Okay, what is the purpose of each of these boxes? We shall see now. First, let's talk about columns. So how do we start building a pivot table? Is by dragging the fields and dropping them into these boxes, rows, columns, and values. When I take any field and drop it in the columns shelf, okay, I'm simply telling Excel to take the data from that field, look at the members present in that field, and arrange them as columns inside the pivot table. So you see, this is one column. This is one column. Latte, mocha is one column. Chamomile, one column. Colombian, one column. It's arranging them as columns. All right. Column labels have come. These are the labels. And column labels comes with a drop-down icon next to it because this acts like a filter. If there is some field which we do not require, certain member that might not be required, okay, we can go ahead and deselect it. Let's say I don't want mocha, I don't want Darjeeling. Now you see what has happened. Those two members are gone. So just because we drag and drop a field, it does not mean that we should always use the complete data from that field. We can go ahead and remove the members that we are not interested in. Now let me go back and select them again. So bring back Darjeeling, bring back mocha. All right. It is as simple as that. Nothing complicated. When you drag a field into the columns box, you are simply telling Excel to arrange the members in that field as columns, and that is what it does. On the other hand, if I take it to the rows shelf, okay, I'm asking it to arrange the members as rows. As you can see, they are arranged as rows, one below the other. This is a row. This is a row. This is a row, right? They are arranged as rows. And we have row labels right now. Again, when you click there, you can sort it in ascending order or descending order. Okay, we have that option. We can go ahead and remove some members which might not be required. So these options are anyway going to be there. Next. So you decide the structure of your table by taking fields into columns and rows, and you can even take multiple fields. Let's take product type now. And if I put product type after product, the placement is also important. If I put it after product, first is product, then is the type, right? So accordingly, it is arranged here. First is the name of the product, then the type. This is of type coffee. This is of type espresso. This is of type espresso. You can see it, right? That way. Now I'm not liking it that way. Let's rearrange it. So what I'll do is I'll bring product below product type. Okay, I brought it under product type. Now you see accordingly, the data got restructured in my pivot table. The first member is product type. So that will appear first. Under each product type, whichever products are there are listed out. These 4 members come under espresso. These 3 members come under herbal tea. And these 3 members belong to tea, the normal tea. Okay, so the arrangement of the members is also important. It matters. Next, let's say I will bring in territory to the columns shelf. So what will happen? We have data for 4 territories. Okay, we have data for East, South, West. So you can see the column labels, East, South, West, so on. Why did column labels appear now? Because I have a field in the columns box. Because I have field in the columns box, members in that field are appearing over here in column labels. Okay. We have just designed the structure of the pivot table by putting members into columns and rows. I basically designed a structure. I'm saying, okay, this is what I want as column. This is what I want as a row. Now, how do we put in data? The numericals, the values, the quantitative data that we would like to analyze, summarize over here. See, we began with the definition of pivot table. I said that pivot table is used to present your data in a flexible way. As you can see here, you can arrange it the way you want. And it is for summarizing the data. Okay, now what does that word summarizing the data mean is what we shall see now. We will have to take the numericals or whatever data values into the values box. So look here, I'm going to drag profit and drop it in values. Once I do that, it is sum of profit and it is getting displayed. You can see the numbers getting displayed, the numericals. Okay, I'll keep it simple. I'll just remove territory from here. To remove a field, how do you remove a field from a box? Is just drag it out. Drag it out. Just leave it on the graph. Okay, it will go away. Now let's try to understand what Tableau has done. We don't have column labels anymore. That's gone. We are showing the sum of profit for various product types and individual products under it. Okay, certain options we shall see now. First, let us look at the design ribbon. The design ribbon, which comes up when we are working with pivot table, contextual ribbon. Okay. Now over here, we can go and choose what design we might want to our pivot table. Okay, as you can see, a lot of styles are there from where we can choose the style. Next, row headers will appear in bold. Okay, if I uncheck row headers, you can see coffee, espresso, they are all not very bold. Column headers. Okay, they are also not bold. So let me put it back. Banded rows we can have. Banded columns we can have. Okay, banded columns, alternate columns will get banded. Anyway, this yesterday with regular table also we discussed, it's the same. Then over here, blank rows, insert a blank row or a blank line after each item. If you want to clearly distinguish, you can do this. So after every block of data, after all the data corresponding to coffee, I have a blank row. After all the data corresponding to espresso, there's a blank row. Okay, so if you want to bring in clear difference or differentiate it clearly, you can do this. Remove blank line after each item, we'll remove them. The lines are gone. The report layout. We can show it in different formats over here, as you can see. Suppose I say show in tabular form. It restructures the pivot table beautifully. You see, it has organized it so well. Coffee. Under that, the products are in a different, as a separate set, and we can see the values. We can also see the subtotals very clearly given now. Compared to the previous view, this is much more user-friendly. Okay, so this is something you might want to keep using frequently. After designing, you can say show in tabular form. Okay, now repeat all item labels, don't repeat item labels, such things are there. Depends on how much data you're showing. Okay, I will just go back to compact form, which is the default. The default is show in compact form. like this. Then grand totals. The moment we created the pivot table, you might have noticed even before we brought in the data, grand total was there. Let me do it one more time. I will go to the table ribbon and summarize with pivot table option here. Create a pivot table. You see, the moment I put any field in here, it's not just showing the list of members in that field. Grand total appears by default. Even before putting any data in there, grand total comes. Okay, so here down here, bottom left corner, you can see grand total. So it is the overall profit that it is showing us. The total profit means the profit of these products, then these, and these. Okay, if you add it like this, that is the summation of overall profit, 266,983. You can also look on the status bar for the same. You see here, total 13 numbers, average of the data, and the sum comes over there. Or if I just add the subtotals, even then it's going to show me that number. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell is it is not summation of all of these numbers. No, it is not 74,683 plus 4890 plus all this. No, it would be 533,966 if everything is taken. It is computing the overall profit of this business at product level. I hope you all understood. Now, let's say I'm not interested in seeing the grand totals. It's not very important. So up on the design ribbon, we can go to grand totals and select off for rows and columns. We don't have it on row level, but because we are seeing only one single value there, but I will anyway select this because this is the only option to turn it off. So when I say off for rows and columns, the grand total disappears. Okay, now how do I bring it back? Again, on the design ribbon, I'll go up here and say on for columns only. If you want it for both rows and columns, you can select this. If you want only row level, you will go with this. Here we have only column, isn't it? We don't have rows data. So I'll just go like that. How? Go up to grand total and select on for columns only. So it ons the total, grand total for the column, this column, which we can see in this box. Next, we have subtotals. See, notice that this number is basically the subtotal. If I sum up the profit from these three products, the total profit is 74,683. Cross check here. Then if I can cross check over here, okay? This area you can look for. If I sum up the profit coming from these four products, it is 68,620. These are basically the subtotals. And subtotals, generally, how do we expect to see them? Generally, in any report that we read, generally, if you have the data like this, you would want to see the total below it, isn't it? Some of these three should come over here. But what's happening is we are summing these three and showing on the top. That is what is happening right now, which is not, at least I personally am not finding it very helpful. So what I'll do is go to design, go to subtotals. Show all subtotals at the bottom of the group. So it is automatically grouping, that we understood, right? It grouped all the products under the type that they belong to. So now I'll say show all subtotals at the bottom of the group. This is making more sense. Coffee group, individual items under it, and the total under coffee group. Espresso group, individual members, and the espresso total. Herbal tea, individual members, and the herbal tea total, so on and so forth. Along with the grand total, of course, that is there. Okay. If we do not want to show the subtotals at all, we can go back to the design ribbon, and the very first option there, subtotals option, we can say, don't show subtotals. They will disappear. Okay. So let's bring back by going to the design ribbon. I will bring back the subtotals, but I will show them at the bottom of the group. So these are the options that we have on the design ribbon. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now let me go back to analyze. One thing that I would like to do before proceeding here is format the data that is present in this column. Okay, because this is currency, this is money, it is profit made by a business in the US. So let's put the dollar symbol and format it. We are aware of how to format it from the home ribbon, right? We generally set the data type from here. Now there is another method of doing it. You can just select the data or click anywhere in the data and right click. Upon doing a right click, we get a context menu with a lot of options on it. There is something called as value field settings, the last fourth option. When we go to value field settings, we get a window, as you can see, okay? And here there's a button number or number format kind of a thing will appear. For me, it is number here. So I'll have to click on this, okay? So once I click on it, the window that will help me format it will come up. I want to format the data in this column as a currency. Okay. And then you can decide whether or not to show decimal places. I don't want to use any decimals there. What symbol to use? I'll use English United States dollar, and how to represent negative values, if any. I would like, if at all there are negative values, I would like to see them in brackets like this. Okay. So once I have customized it by formatting it, now you can notice how it has formatted, right? It has formatted the data in there. So this is another place from where we can go ahead and format our data. How? Right click on the value, go to value field settings, and from there, choose the number button, then go to currency and format it accordingly. However you might want to format it, okay? All right, so here is a simple pivot table showing us the profits from different products and product types. So far, whatever we have created, I hope is clear. I'll pause for a minute to take up any questions that you might have. We can do that, Swati. You can take first name followed by that. You can keep the last name. They will come as two separate fields. But that scenario does not seem valid. What you're saying, it is better to use concatenation to combine them beforehand itself. Okay, let me just check for questions on YouTube. Okay, one question from Swarupasya is, why did we leave the first two rows? That Excel is doing by default. We didn't leave it. Excel leaves the first two rows by default. If you don't want that to happen, you can just go there and delete them. Okay, no harm there. Okay, Swarupasya. Excel by default will leave the first two rows when we are doing a pivot table. Somehow it always starts in A3. It starts in the A3 cell. Okay. Okay, data will not be shared in the WhatsApp group. You need to, I'm checking your message in the YouTube chat itself right now. Your name is coming as No More India. See, data will not be shared in the WhatsApp group. It will be posted here itself. You can take it from the comment, right? You can see, na? You can see it, I hope, in the comment section. Rohini also, same thing. The moment the session starts, we are posting the link to the data source so that you all can go there and download it. All right, let's continue. Let's look at some more options that we have over here under Pivot Data Analyze. Okay. First, we'll jump to the last group over here, these three. Very simple options that I would like to show you. Field list. This is basically the list of fields, and this is the place from where we are configuring the pivot table. So if I click on this, it goes away. So basically it was selected, I deselected it. Now when I click on it again, it comes back. Okay, that is one thing. Next thing you notice, the way we designed our table is we have product type and then the list of products under each type, isn't it? So automatically, very small though, but you see there is this icon here. It is right now expanded. Okay, this minus sign is referred to as, there is a minus that you will see and there will be a plus later on. I will show you. These buttons are to do a drill down. When you click on the plus, it will drill down and take you to the next level. Minus will do a roll up. Or you can say drill up, anything. So these buttons will be there by default, the drill down and the roll up. Right now it's drill down. If I click on the minus, it rolls back. You see, it's going back. You see, these are the 4 product types. Under each product type, there are multiple products. Why did the plus and minus, which help us drill down and roll up, come? Because of this option being active by default. The buttons option is active by default. It is better to keep it that way. When I click on the plus sign, it will drill down and expand that member. It's showing the members that are present under coffee. If I drill down, it shows the members under espresso. Again, I can drill down and see the members under herbal tea. Further drill down and look at the members under tea. Okay, so by clicking on the minus, we are doing a roll up. By clicking on the plus, we are doing a drill down. If I click on this buttons option on the ribbon, that will go away. Okay, that drill down and roll up feature goes away, but it should always be kept. You can see how friendly it is, right? It's better to keep it. Then the next option that we have there, field headers. So if I uncheck this, the field header means whether it is row labels or column labels, that kind of information disappears. You can notice the A1 cell now. If I click on field headers again, it comes back. Okay, so 3 very simple but useful features. Next, any pivot table that you create, it is better to give it a name. Just like we give a name to the table in the same place up here on the pivot table analyze ribbon, we get an option to give a name to the pivot table. Okay, here we are looking at data at product level, right? So let's say this is product pivot. Okay, or pivot product, any meaningful name that will help you understand what is the data in there. Okay. Next, generate pivot data. All right. We will talk about that in a while. What was the agenda? Sorry. We saw how to create pivot table, working with pivot tables, like what all options we have. Let's see summarizing the data. So the moment I put profit in here, it is showing me the sum of profit. That is perfectly fine. I will remove the subtotals for now. Okay, and I'm quite happy about it. Now let's say I would like to show the sales also. In here, I would like to show the sales. So all I need to do is take sales and drop it in the values box. So there's another column showing sales. Let me quickly format it by going to value field settings, number. I'll format it as a currency. This is how I want the negative values to come. Dollar symbol without decimal places. Okay, so this is a sample. This is how it will appear. Okay, so sales is also formatted. Now let's say I would like to indicate the budget profit. And I want budget profit to come before sales. It should be profit followed by that budget profit, sales followed by that budget sales. So it's all about rearranging the members down here in the values box. So these are the 4 columns that I'm interested in and they've come. Okay. Now you can see the names that Tableau has given to the columns. Sum of profit, sum of budget profit. Budget profit is nothing but the target. All right. Sum of budget sales and all. We don't feel it's not necessarily that we are stuck over here. We are not stuck with these names. Okay, we can go ahead and change them. Let me change the names. Okay, I was trying to format it. All right. So we are not necessarily stuck with the names that Excel has given here by default. You can change it simply by clicking in the box and typing in whatever other name you might want to give. I just want to call this profit, or maybe I want to call it actual profit. Okay. And this one I want to call it target profit. This one I would like to call actual sales. And down here, I would like to call it target sales. Okay, so we can do that. We can go ahead and even rename the field simply by clicking over there and changing the name. This also you can, go ahead and change it if you want. Okay, grand totals, something like that. At column level. Okay. Whatever you feel is more meaningful, you can go ahead and simply click in there and type it. I think better to leave it as grand total. That was more meaningful. Okay. What else with respect to the design part, the structuring part? I think this should be fine. Now let me create another pivot table. I'll go back to my coffee chain data. Okay, here is coffee chain data. I came back to the actual table, which has all the data in it. And I'll just go to the insert button and insert a pivot table. I want a pivot table to work with the entire data in this table, which I already named as coffee chain data. Otherwise, it would have shown the range, okay, the cell references. And I want it to be created in a new sheet. So once I click on OK, you can see it got created. Let me move it out here. I will rename it to pivot table number 2. Okay. And by default, as you can see, the pivot table starts in the cell A3. It happens by default. Let me slightly increase the overall size as we always do. Increase the column width. Okay. Now, for various products, okay, I would like to look at different measures. So, or I would like to look at different ways in which I can present one measure. Summarize the data in different ways. So far, by default, we saw that it is sum of profit. Okay. So I will just take profit here. This is the overall profit. Now, this is sum of profit. So I'll just call it total profit. Okay. I would like to show the average of profit. How to show the average profit? We can drag profit again into this box, and to change the aggregation. Okay, to change the aggregation, I will click here on this information symbol I, which pulls up a window for me. How would you like to summarize the sum of profit data that is being presented here? I would like to show the average of the data in the profit column. It gave us by default the summation of the data in the profit column for each and every product. Now I would like to look at the average. Okay, so you can see this is the average profit. I'll just call it average profit. Okay. Now let's say I would like to figure out what is the minimum profit. Given any product, what is the minimum value, minimum profit that it has made? So what to do? Drag profit again into this values box, and this time change it. How to change it? We can click on this I symbol over here. Okay, or the other way of changing it, apart from clicking here and we get the pivot table field from where we are changing it, right? The other option is you can go into the pivot table itself, right click on it and select the option summarize values by. Okay, so when we go to summarize values by, there is max. So I'll go there to max, which means it's going to show me the maximum of profit. So this product at row level, when you check, it has made a maximum profit of 199, meaning there is some transaction for that product. There is some transaction where the profit was 199. You can see the profit from different rows, right? Let's just hide these. Okay, you can right click and hide data if it's not required. This is the product. Okay, and these are the different profits that it has made. So we can see in one transaction, it made a profit of 94. Another transaction was a profit of 34. Here is a loss of $2, so on and so forth. So when we look at all the transactions for this particular product, somewhere the maximum profit out of all these, the maximum profit is identified and given, 199. Okay, so I'll rename this to max profit. Now I would like to check the minimum profit. So what to do? Simple. Bring profit again into the values box. And this time I will right click here and say that I would like to summarize the values by min. So it is going to show me what is the minimum profit that the business has made. So this product has actually experienced a loss. One particular transaction or one particular time when it was sold, it made a loss of $192. Okay. So again, if we go back here, this is transactional data. Okay, row level data, record level, whatever data we have. And what we are doing is we are looking at the minimum profit. Can't we see it directly from here? We can do it, but that would be a time consuming and a tedious process. So first I will go ahead and look at data only for that product, Amaretto. That is one thing. So the rest of the data will be gone. Let me do a command shift down and show you. See, only this product we have. Then I'll have to go to the profit column and I will have to sort it. You see, when I sort it, you can notice the least profit is 192. Again, I'll have to go and sort it in the reverse order. The highest profit is 199. Directly in our table also, we can figure out these things, but you can see that it is a time consuming process. It involves multiple steps. Whereas when I do it in a pivot table, I'm getting it much more easily. Now for one product, I had to do so much. If I have to see for another product, I have to go and repeat it. Now I'll uncheck that, select latte. So it's going to show me the data for latte. Now for latte, what is the maximum profit? I'll have to go there and sort it in descending order, 233. And what is the minimum profit? I'll do a reverse sort, $22 of loss. Okay. So you can see 233 and $22 loss, max and min. Instead, when you create a pivot table, right, rather than analyzing the data as is, if we represent that data in a pivot table format, you see how much more flexible or how much more easier it is for us to summarize the data. Okay, I hope now you're all able to understand the significance of why do we need a pivot table in the first place. It helps you analyze your data in a much more efficient manner. It helps you get answers instantly to any question that you have in your mind. Just drag and drop the fields in columns, rows, values, job done. Okay. Okay, there's a question on what is the purpose of insert slicer, that we shall see. Okay, today we will not have time to cover slicer. Next session, we will look at slicer and timeline. Sriram. Only numerical values should be used in the values. Yes, Srikanth, correct. Can we do calculations with pivot tables data? Yes, we can do calculations and we shall be seeing that in our training. If I close the pivot table, how do I get it again? You have to recreate it. Closing meaning, if you have gone and completely deleted the sheet, as long as you can undo and bring it back, that is one option, ribbon. But the other way is you create it again. If you're asking me if you have closed pivot table fields, how do you bring it back? If you have closed the pivot table fields, how do you bring it back? You click in the pivot table, you get the design, analyze. Under analyze, as I told you, there is field list here, right? You have to click on the field list and it comes back. Okay. If you have closed the pivot table fields list by mistake, but your work with the pivot table is not yet over, you need to continue working on it. You go back to pivot table analyze ribbon, which is a contextual ribbon. Remember that if you have clicked outside the pivot table, that ribbon will not come. Only when you click inside the table, the ribbon will come. And in the last section, we have fields list. Click on it and it comes back. Okay, Rohini, I will answer your question in a minute. You're saying you're unable to delete the blank rows, right? I'll redo that towards the end of the class. I'll show you, okay? Okay, Satish is asking, in the main sheet, it is showing negatives for profits. Will it come as red? Yes, it is supposed to come as red, provided we format it. Here we have not done formatting on this data. So let's do the formatting. I will just select everything. Value field settings, number format. All of this is currency value. Let's not put any decimals. I'll use dollar symbol, and negatives I want to show like this. Okay. So in one go, let's see. It's formatting column wise only. So let me go here very quickly then. Value field settings, number. Where is that? Currency. So you can see average profit, minimum profit I will format and show now because I want to show that negative values representation. See, if there is negative, it's coming in brackets, red color. Okay, so you need to format it. Every time you create a pivot table, in that table, you have to format your data. Okay, within that table, you need to format your data. Yeah, the same can be done even by going to the home ribbon, and then on the home ribbon, from here, you can go and change it to currency. From there, you can go and choose the accounting symbol. From there, you can reduce the decimals. Of course, you can do it from here as well. Naveen, you can do it from there also. Ripon, I think your question was answered, right? On the right side, when you get it off the table, how to bring it back. Okay. So I hope you all understood whatever we discussed so far. We can even have multiple copies of that field, and each field you can present it with a different aggregation, with a different way in which you would want to summarize your data. Okay. So the last thing I would like to show you here is what happens when we are dealing with dates. Okay, that is a very interesting feature. So let me go ahead and unhide everything that I hid between these two cells. I will unhide it. So all of them have come back. Now I want another pivot table. So I'll go here, click on summarize with pivot table. Click on OK. It has opened a new sheet. One more table for me now. Pivot table 3. And here we give a name. If we want, we can give a name. Copy chain, date pivot, I will call it. Okay, copy chain, date pivot. I have answered multiple times, no, where to use pivot tables. Swarupasya, please refer back to the recording. Looking at your question, I repeated the whole thing one more time. Where do we use it? Why are we creating it? What is its purpose? I began with that, then I repeated the whole thing. Okay, please don't mind. Go through the recording. All right. So when we use a date field, how does our data get summarized? We shall see that. I'm going to bring the date into the rows shelf. If you observe the data that is present in the date field, right? We have the complete data. We have the information about the day and the month and the year. However, though we have the complete detail over here, when we present our date in a pivot table format, it is automatically rolled up by year. Okay, notice it's showing 12 and 13. These are the 2 years for which we have data in coffee chain. Okay. Then when we click on the plus sign, it drills down. It's showing us different quarters present in that year for which we have data. If I drill down further, it will show me different months for which I have data and all. So why is this happening? This happens because dates are always grouped by default. Okay. When I dragged and dropped date in the rows shelf, you can notice that it automatically split it into year, quarter, and date. Okay, now let's say I don't want to present my data like this. I want to show it at month level. I just want to show the list of months, Jan through December. So how do we change that? We can go to Pivot Data Analyze, and there is one section here called as Group Selection. So when I go down to Group Selection, there is an option called as Group Field. Now when I go to Group Field, you can see this is what it's showing, year, quarter, month, everything. But I just want to present my data at month level of detail. Okay, overall the performance of the business in Jan, overall performance in Feb, overall performance in March. So I'm interested in focusing on the months. So I'm going to select months here and click on OK. Now you can see how it has rearranged or reorganized my data. It's showing me only the list of months because that is how I prefer to show my data. How did I do it again? I went to the group selection option here, went to group field, and I wanted months. So I selected only months. What if I select only quarters? It will show me quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. So depending on exactly what you want to present, you can present it. But if you want multiple things also, you can select multiple things. All right, here I want only months. So I'll keep months selected and click on OK. Then whatever data we might want to put in there, we will simply drag and drop under values. Okay, so you can see the data has now appeared. Of course, you need to remember to format it. You can go to the home ribbon and format it from here. Or you could go in the other method that I showed you. Okay, so here we will wind up. I will take up the questions now. Thank you all so much. I hope you got a basic understanding of pivot tables. We shall continue the same concept tomorrow. There are a lot of things that we can do with pivot tables. So tomorrow we will go look at get pivot data feature. We will look at how to create calculated fields. We will look at how to use some inbuilt calculations which are present over here. Okay. Thank you all so much for attending the session and watching the video. Please do like the video and subscribe to the channel. So yeah, that's it from my side. I'm here to take up your questions. Now, Rohini, coming to your question, you said you were unable to delete blank rows, right? So I'll just repeat the process. First, do I have a filter? Yeah. So this is our data, okay? This is our data. Let me insert one blank row. Okay, these are the blank rows. All right. Now to delete them, first we go to find and select. From find and select, we go to this option, go to special and select blanks. That way it will select or highlight all the blanks. Once the blank rows are highlighted, you go to the delete button and delete it. Okay, this is in a table, right? So it's not able to delete. First, we'll convert it to a range, okay? Convert it to a range. And then now I can go to delete and then delete sheet rows. Once I do this, they are gone. Okay, let me just go there, delete sheet rows. After this, I will convert it back to a table with the command T. All right, so basically, even before you convert it into a table, you do the data cleaning part. Okay, do the data cleaning part. And then you convert it into a table. All right. Okay, thank you all so much. That's it. Link is given in the YouTube chat. Link is given. Just click on that link and download the data, please. All right. Thank you all. Yeah. Bye-bye.